So, is art and culture finished with the notes? How many of you have finished art and culture with notes? Good. Because after geography, we'll be having our next advanced test on art and culture and uh, आर्ट एंड कल्चर का एक लेक्चर अपलोड हुआ है. I have taken 2 lectures of art and culture. Okay, I will ask them to upload it today itself. Okay. So our next advanced test will be on the geography and art and culture on 25th. Okay. So in next 4 lectures, we will start with the geography. Before coming to the answer writing framework of the geography, as geography is completely static, the resources are not going to change. The only thing is your approach is going to change a bit. Like in the modern history, we follow the thematic approach. Here also, we will be following the thematic approach with respect to the geography. Okay. So in geography, if you see, first of all, there is a core geography, okay, which will involve the climatology, geomorphology, oceanography. Okay. This is the completely static. You can refer your NCRTs or the PMFIS. Okay. So for climatology and oceanography, I would suggest NCRT plus you do the bit of value addition from PMF. And for geomorphology, NCRT plus GC Leon. These two are going to be your primary sources. And apart from this, the only thing, the technical thing that you need to remember for all the concepts in all the 3 themes is their mechanism. For example, the cyclone, the formation of the cyclone, the exact mechanism of formation of the cyclone. Within geomorphology, you have the different depositional and erosional features related to the different geomorphic agents. Okay. So the formation of that particular erosional or depositional features. For example, last year they asked how fjords are formed. Okay. Within oceanography, also you have the different landforms associated with the ocean. So the exact mechanism of the formation, mechanism, or you can say process of formation. Okay, first thing. Second, that you will be needing is the diagrams. Okay. And the third will be the examples maps. So within climatology, you will be having the different type within winds. You will be having the different types of the local winds. Okay. Or in oceanography, the cyclones, anticyclones. In geomorphology, you will be having the different erosional and depositional landforms associated with different geomorphic agents. For all those, you need to gather the examples. Okay, for climatology and oceanography related, try to gather the recent examples related to the cyclones, related to the earthquake, related to the volcanoes, and all. Okay, and prepare the maps with respect to their hotspots. Okay, you will be needing only these 3 things from the standard books. Apart from that, the analytical questions. For example, they asked last year, why is monsoon called as Purvaya in Bhojpur region? Okay, so if you know the process of formation of the monsoon, you can easily answer the first part. But the second part, its impact on the cultural ethos. So that is the analytical part. And for that, I will provide you the answer writing framework. From that answer writing framework, you can easily rate 5 to 6 points. Okay, so this is with respect to the core geography. So only thing that you need to focus upon is the process of formation. Okay, that you need to remember in a proper chronological way. And second thing, try to practice as the diagrams for all the themes. Okay, for example, with respect to the volcanism, the different types of the volcanic mountains, with respect to the earthquake, with respect to the plate tectonics, the convergent divergent boundary, as well as this mm, the convergent boundary, divergent boundary, or the transform boundaries. Okay, for all those diagrams. Last, maps. Okay, so this is with respect to the core geography. Next, so normally, if you see, they ask around 8 questions from geography. So out of 8 questions, majority of your questions are related to the economic geography. Okay, so within economic geography, I have classified those into these themes. Okay, you will be getting the question on these themes only. First is with respect to the agriculture. Okay, so within agriculture, the cropping pattern, the climatic conditions, regional distribution, and government policies. This is again static. Second is industry. Every year they ask one question with respect to the industry. So for industry, what they majorly ask is the factors responsible for the location of that particular industry. So there are total 10 factors. When we'll do economic geography day after tomorrow around 21st, in that I'll give you the 10 major factors determining the location of industry. So those factors will remain constant. Only thing you need is the substantiation using the examples. Okay. Apart from that, these two themes are there on which they can ask. For example, comparison in North and South. They had asked why the uh, sugar industry is more successful in South compared to the North. Second question that they asked, the region-specific food processing industry in Northeast India. So based upon those two PYQs, you have to prepare the content for these two things. Okay. Then with respect to the minerals, again, majorly they ask with respect to the distribution and the associated issues. Okay, with respect to this, we are expecting a question very soon on the semiconductor. So Indian and global distribution of the semiconductor and major issues associated with the semiconductor industry. Okay. Then next, one more important theme within geography is the water. Within water, apart from the major irrigation systems, they ask the question on the groundwater and the surface water. Okay, so in that, you need to collect the data, the government policy, the major issues in conservation, then government steps, and the way forward. Okay, similarly, in 2018, they had asked river interlinking, and recent theme on which I am expecting a question is the drinking water crisis. So many of the urban cities are facing the drinking water crisis. For example, the Bangalore. Okay, there was water crisis in Delhi as well. Okay. Then renewable energy. With respect to the renewable energy, they have already asked with respect to India's potential in solar energy and India's potential with respect to the wind energy. Two questions have already been asked in last 8 years. You can also expect a question with respect to the nuclear energy, okay, or with respect to the this hydropower, or with respect to the within renewable energy. They can also ask you with respect to the geothermal energy. Okay. So for every form of renewable energy, you have to prepare the notes in this format. First, gather the data. That is its overall share in renewable energy basket. For that, you can also prepare a pie chart. Okay. Then India's potential. For that, you can also use the map. You can simply highlight the hotspots. Then government policies. Okay. And the target, the major issues, and way forward. Major issues, you can simply use Pester. Okay. Then different types of the revolutions. I think they are asked with respect to the blue revolution. Okay, but the revolutions related to the different type or the different themes. For example, you have green revolution, white revolution, you have pink revolution. So all the form of revolutions that you will be studying in your mains. Okay, try to go bit detail into that. You can get a 10 marker question on that. Okay. And with respect to the impact of climate change, that also we'll be doing in the environmental geography on last day of geography. They majorly ask the impact on climate change on the Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, Arctic, Antarctic, Himalayas, or Northeast. So they majorly ask the impact of the climate change, okay, on the biodiversity hotspots, okay, all or on vulnerable areas. Okay, so for that also you have to prepare the notes in this format. With respect to urban planning, we have already covered. With respect to forest, also they can ask you a question. So distribution in India and the world issues and way forward. Apart from that, you can simply prepare a theme on urban forest. Okay, and all the data you can get from the state of forest report. Okay. Yes, EY minerals were not developed in India despite being part of Gondwana. That we'll do in the economic geography on 21st. So these are the major themes which are normally not covered into your geography standard book. So you have to make sure you are preparing the notes on these themes. On economic geography, we have already prepared the X factor notes that will be uploaded on our economic geography lecture. Some themes which are not covered into the X factor notes, you have to prepare on your own. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the answer writing framework. So see, geography I have divided into total 5 themes. Okay. Climatology, oceanography, geomorphology, economic geography, and environmental geography. Okay, so based upon all these 5 themes, you have to understand the answer writing framework. So first we'll start with the climatology. So in climatology, so with in core geography or in physical geography, always remember the best way. I have already told you the resources. PMFIS plus GC Leong. That's it. Okay, and to gather the example, you can simply use the chat GPT or Google if you don't find sufficient examples. Yeah. So as far as the physical geography is concerned, the best way of introducing your answer is definition. Okay, because if you see the question, the majority of the times in the question they ask you the meaning of the that particular phenomena. Okay, so whenever you get a question of this sort, what is the phenomena of cloudburst or what are, okay, or what do you understand by this or what do you mean? So in all such kind of the questions, the definition becomes your default introduction. Okay. So well, definition and afterwards, if possible, classification or types flowchart. That is your default and the standard introduction in such kind of the questions. Not just in geography, but anywhere if you get a kind of the question, what do you understand by this concept or what is the meaning of this concept? On that lines, if you get a question by default, definition becomes your introduction. Okay. Then in main body, always remember to add the map. Okay, if possible, otherwise the diagrams. Yes, maps and diagrams are must in geography. Then the major themes on which they ask you the questions. are first, what are the factors influencing? Okay, for example, this the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation. Okay, so the first point of the or first type of the question is factors responsible. Okay, so whenever they ask you the factors responsible, you talk about think from these dimensions. Okay, so your latitude and longitude, altitude, the solar radiation, ocean currents, the wind pattern, okay, the topography, vegetation, right? And so these are all the natural factors, okay? And these are the anthropogenic factors. So if sometimes, if possible, that particular phenomena is equally or natural and anthropogenic factors are equally responsible for formation of that particular phenomena, you can classify your points under natural and anthropogenic. Okay. Then the next type of the question that they ask is the impact of that particular phenomena. So they can ask you the impact on climate and weather, or they can ask the impact on the human activities. Yes, for example, they have asked you the impact of this, the Purvaya on the cultural ethos of the region. That is basically they are asking the impact of the Purvaya on the human activities. Okay. Then in this question, if you see, troposphere is a very significant atmospheric layer that determines weather process. How? That means they are asking the impact of troposphere on the weather. Okay, that is the climate. Whenever they ask you the impact on the human activities, okay, if possible, in majority of the question it is obviously possible, try to provide both negative and positive impacts. Okay, let's take the example of the volcanism. Okay, so if they ask you a question with respect to the impact of the volcanism, okay, 90% of the aspirants will only write the negative impacts. But volcanism also has some positive impact as well. For example, the clouds or the ash and debris which goes into the sky due to the volcanism. Okay, it can help with respect to the preventing global warming. Okay, secondly, the volcanism is the important source with respect to the soil formation, right? So there can be some positive impacts. So always first think whether there can be positive and negative impacts. If there are, you classify. Okay. So mostly with respect to the impact on human activities, if they ask, they classify your points on these lines. So the disasters, impact on agriculture, impact on health, biodiversity, natural resources, land use pattern, impact on climate, okay, impact on coastal economy or forest economy. Okay, so basically economical impact. Okay. Then with respect to the migration, and if they ask you with respect to the impact on culture, so you cover the different aspects of the culture, right? So different aspects of the culture will involve the festival, literature, then agriculture practices, then religion, architecture, traditional knowledge, the food and cuisine, right? Apart from that, if you can talk about attire, so the different aspects of the culture from that perspective, you see, this question, the impact of the Purvaya on the cultural ethos. So simply you have to write the point with respect to the agriculture, okay, with respect to religion, the different there's the monsoon festivals, with respect to the literature, the different songs prepared on the monsoon, right? There's the famous movie song from Lagan was there, right? Then with respect to the literature, okay, so on that lines, you can prepare the point. And second, if they ask you the impact on the climate, okay, so the different aspects of the climate, you highlight the impact. Okay, for example, the impact on the pressure belts, okay, which influence the wind and precipitation. Then impact on the jet streams, which influence storms and temperature, right? Then impact of the ocean currents. Hmm. So if they ask you the impact, so you can simply classify the points: impact on climate, wind pattern, temperature, rainfall, humidity. Okay. Then impact on the landforms and vegetation. And last, disasters. Okay. On these lines, from these perspectives, think you create the dimensions. Then they will ask you the impact of the climate change. So these are the impact of the climate change. Okay. Same thing with oceanography. Again, within oceanography also the definition based. Okay. Then the factors influencing the salinity of the temperature and the impact of ocean current. So here also the impact of ocean, if you see. Okay, so first, obviously the climate regulation, temperature, ecosystem, nutrient cycling, the weather, that is the winds. Then with respect to sea level, navigation, fisheries, coastal erosion and culture. Okay, so if you get any of the question with respect to the oceanography, try to remember these dimensions. Okay. Then impact of climate change will be same. This is the conclusion. Okay. Here, you see this. These are the technical questions. Here you can't have any of the pastel or those aspects. Hmm. Is it clear? Any doubts up till now before I move on to the topic answers? Yes. Map plus diagram. Yes. You can draw both. Okay. If the question requires both, then definitely you have to draw both. Okay. Then if you see the topic answers, so this is the Shruti Sharma. Okay. Here also, if you see how are the submarine canals differ from the ocean trenches, also explain the process of formation of. Okay. So here the introduction that she has given. Okay. If you don't know the this definition, okay, if you don't know the definition, the other form of the introduction is the classification, right? That we have given. Right? So classification based. Majorly that is helpful in geomorphology, but in oceanography and climatology also you can use that kind of the introduction, the classification based. If you don't know the definition, yeah, simple introduction that she has given. So the canyons and trenches are forms of the marine topography, right? So marine topography is a variety of landforms, two of them being canyons and trenches. So simple classification based introduction. ठीक है. Here, ideally, she should have drawn the diagram, highlighting the different marine landforms or marine topography. Yeah. Then these are the differences. Here also she has shown the diagrams. Okay. Then this is the plate tectonics theory. Okay. Now here in this, she has used the definition. Okay. How does plate tectonics theory help in explaining causes of earthquake volcanoes? Discuss and give an account of various volcanic landforms. Right. So here, if you see the introduction, she has given the definition of the plate tectonics theory. So plate tectonics theory refers to explanation of uh, endogenetic forces leading to creation of landforms explained by Arthur Holmes. Right. And then she has explained the causes of earthquake and volcanoes. So different types of the movements. Convergent plate boundary, diagram, explanation, example. Divergent diagram, example. Transform diagram, example. And then types of volcanic landforms. Just diagrams and examples. Okay. That's it. You need only this. So you need the process of formation and second, the diagrams and the examples. Okay. Here also, if you see, this is Rupal Rana, because mountains are the fragile ecosystems vulnerable to the adverse impact of climate change. Here also, she has given the origin of the mountains or the definition of the mountains. Mountains are formed due to the divergence between the plates or convergence. Okay, the classification based, the block mountains and fold mountains. The classification based introduction is there. Okay. Then, when they are asking the impact of climate change, right? So, impact of climate change, disasters, positive feedback cycle. That was our last point, the feedback loop, right? Then the biodiversity, then impact on the monsoon and wind, right? Impact on ocean current. That's it. The dimensions will remain the same. Only thing you will be needing the examples. That's it. Okay. And second part of the question, initiatives taken. Okay, so initiatives taken again, she has classified at national level and global level. Okay, this is her world map. Yeah, the only thing that she has shown in the world map is the major mountains. So here also, if you see, the question is very simple. Discuss why Bay of Bengal is more prone to cyclones than Arabian Sea. Okay, explain the reasons for decrease in frequency of tropical cyclones during the southwest monsoon season. Okay, here also, if you see the definition of cyclones, okay, in this map. If you see it in this map is not detailed, only he has shown the cyclone prone region in the Bay of Bengal. That's it. Okay. Here also, if you see the question on the deserts, the factors behind formation of the deserts, we have decided, given the list of the same diagrams. So climate, rainfall, ocean currents. Okay. This is the intercontinentality. Okay. And then rain shadow region again related to the this. The rain shadow region is related again to the rainfall. Yeah. You can also add some of the anthropogenic factors also, okay, which is leading to the desertification, right? And this is the map. Okay, I have added same question from three toppers. I think I have added the answer of Animesh Pradhan, then two more toppers. All of them have this map highlighting the major deserts, okay, and major landforms found. Yeah. Then again, ideally, Animesh has written the better answer. She has simply given the list of this. But ideally, you should have classified the landforms formed into the depositional and erosional. I'll show the answer of Animesh. See, this is also the same question. Formation of desert. This is Aditya Srivastava. He has also drawn the map. Okay. Here also for every point he has substantiated the points. Again, factors responsible: dry conditions, that is lack of rainfall, ocean currents, rain shadow region, again related to the rainfall, right? Cold deserts. Hmm. These are the landforms associated. Mhm. The answer of Animesh, yes, this was the answer of Animesh. Okay. So here he has started with the definition of deserts, again map. Okay. Then with respect to the factors for formation, same factors: ocean current, winds, vegetation, precipitation, right, and anthropogenic, like I mentioned. It should have been there. Okay. Then landforms. This is how he has classified. This is the ideal way. You classify your landforms under erosional and depositional. Okay. Then this is with respect to the mountain wala question. So in both the mountains related question, both have added the map. Okay. And for this, the examples for every point. That's it. You only require this much. Okay. Initiatives. Here, Animesh has made a mistake. So initiatives taken, he should have classified it into the national and international. Okay. That would have been better. Okay. Is it clear? So if you refer the answers of the toppers, if you refer the answers of same questions, majority of the points also will find same. Okay. That. And at the end, if possible, if the question is related to the impact of the climate change, okay, in that case, after highlighting the impact, if there is a scope, provide a brief way forward. Okay. And for conclusion, we normally suggest to use the utility or significance. So utility as in so whatever uh, climatic or oceanographic theme on which they have asked the question. You simply highlight the utility of it. Okay, so understanding, here they have asked the climatology. Okay, so suppose the question is on the cyclones. Okay, so understanding the mechanism of the cyclones, okay, is essential for better this early warning systems and ensuring the disaster or ensuring the effective disaster management. Okay. So this on that lines you highlight the utility. If you can link it with the current news, that is also fine. Or if the question has impact on the climate change, you can also link with SDG 13 and 15, okay, or 16. Life on land, life on water. Okay, you can also conclude with the SDG also. If you see some of the toppers answers, look at this. So she has used the utility aspect. So the question was on the submarine cannons and the ocean trenches. So she has highlighted the utility of both. So both landforms help us together in creating picture of ocean's surface and give scientific insights into process of earth formation and mineral deposits. So that is the utility of both of these landforms, right? So she has used the utility or significance approach. But on similar lines, if अगर कोई भी landform पे question आ गया, you can use the same, right? If they ask you on the suppose landforms associated with water, your कोई भी landform आ जाए, you can use the same approach. Because similarly, plate tectonics theory. ठीक है. So our understanding of plate tectonics is constantly undergoing the change with new research and technology. So this is related to the current. Okay, but basically here also she has highlighted the utility of it. Okay, that is the utility of plate tectonics is understanding of the movements of the plates or Earth's topography. Okay, or she has related it to the current. Okay, here also if you see, just a minute. Okay, here also, if you see with respect to the mountains, basically the utility or significance. The mountains play a vital role in providing several provisioning, regulating. Okay, this. Similarly, with respect to the cyclone, thus with climate change becoming reality, the intensity, frequency, and occurrence of global climatic phenomena is going to get impacted. Okay, this is related to the current. So on these lines, you provide a conclusion. Okay, understanding the mechanism of that particular thing, okay, or you link it to the current. That's it. Okay, normally, if you see the conclusions of even toppers are lengthy in geography. Okay, in society or in other questions, we have seen. So for example, Aditya Srivastava has given two-line conclusion in majority of the questions. But here, if you see, majority of the toppers have given the lengthy conclusions. Right? Why? Because of the content deficit. Okay, if you see one answer, this is very interesting answer. Hmm, this is the answer of Shubham Kumar, AR1. In his entire answer, he has simply explained through the diagram, describe the process of Rift Valley formation with special emphasis on Great Rift Valley system. ठीक है. Process of Rift Valley formation. The diagram and only minor explanation. ठीक है. The Earth asthenosphere he has shown convergent boundaries and its effect, divergent boundaries and its effect. This is the force which leads to the Great Rift Valley. That's it. ठीक है. He has given the example. But avoid this kind of structure. That is just given you one option. ठीक है. Is it clear? Have you understood the framework for the physical geography answer writing? If you go through the toppers answers, you will also find the same pattern. Okay, just understand the factors that we have discussed. Okay. Yes. Any doubts? Okay. Now we'll move on to the answers. So why is the southwest monsoon called Purvaya in Bhojpur region? How has this directional seasonal wind system influenced the cultural ethos of the region? right? So how will we introduce the answer? Yes. What will be our introduction? Hmm. What will be our introduction in this particular question? Yes. Southwest monsoon definition. What is the definition of southwest monsoon? Yes, Bay of Bengal branch. Wind coming from Arabian Sea. Modified trade wind. Okay. See, try to be a bit more specific and precise into your definition. Okay. Southwest monsoon is seasonal reversal of winds occurring between June to September and is a major source of rainfall for Indian subcontinent. Okay. So this is your brief definition of the monsoon. Then what's next? We have started with the definition. Hmm. What's next? After the introduction, what we do? Yes, map is there. Apart from map, what else? Hmm. I called Purvaya. That we have to explain. Contextual introduction of a significant map. What else? Tell how cultural ethos know. After the introduction, first you provide a classification. It is divided into Arabian branch, Bay of Bengal. Okay, the classification I already mentioned. If possible, provide the classification. Okay, then you add the map. Okay, so this Arabian Sea branch. Okay, then you come to the first demand. What is the first demand? It is called Purvaya. Okay, so why it is called as Purvaya? What do you think? Yes, as it moves towards so the as it originates from east, right? So it is coming from the eastern side. Okay, so it is because of geographical orientation. So in Bhojpur region, winds enter from eastern or southeastern direction. This is from Bay of Bengal branch. Right? That's what is the second reason? Hmm? Yes. So Bay of Bengal branch again divides into two parts. No, one part goes here and second part into northeast. What happens in the northeast? There happens orographic lift and some winds are diverted. Right. So second, eastern Himalayas and Arakan Mountains. Where are Arakan Mountains? Yes, cause orographic lift and rainfall. This is eastern side of Bhojpur region. ठीक है. Yes, Arakan is in Myanmar. So these are your geographical factors. What else? Yes. What else can be the reason? Hmm? What else can be the reason? No, no, geographical factors are done. Why we call it Purvaya? Historical, okay. What else? Hmm? Culture, okay. So basically, it is linguistic factor. Purvaya include Pur means east and Aya means direction in Bhojpuri. So Purvaya winds coming from east. ठीक है. What else? Hmm? Fourth, you talk about the cultural factors. The term Purvaya is traditionally used for moist, life-giving winds. ठीक है. Yes, historical also you can say. Historical factors also you can mention. But the factor of language, culture, and the geographical factors. Those are the core factors. Okay, because of which it is called as the Purvaya. Yep. Now, in case if you don't have more points, normally in geography you face the content deficit, and that's absolutely fine. Even in the copies of AR, once we have seen how they have provided the longer introductions and conclusions. Why they? Because they have limited content in the main body. That's absolutely fine. So one way is stretching introductions and conclusions. So you can stretch your introduction by providing the flowchart on classification. Right. Conclusion, we already have the framework. Apart from that, one more thing that we can use is initially we did that. We had provided the organic headings in some of the questions. Right. So here also we'll give the organic headings. Thus, Purvaya is not just an climatic phenomena, but has cultural ethos and identity. Okay. And you read the points. So when we ask the impact on the culture, what points we write? Yes, you can show Bhojpur. That's a good idea actually. Right? कहाँ पे आएगा भोजपुर मतलब बिहार एंड दिस ये थोड़ा सा पार्ट आएगा ना भोजपुर right that's actually good. Okay, so when we talk about the impact on the culture, what dimensions we have used in answer writing framework? First is agricultural practices. ठीक है. So within agriculture, the arrival of monsoon marks sowing season of crops like rice and wheat. Second, agricultural festivals. Like here you give the examples. So what are the agricultural festivals in those that area? Bhojpur. Hmm, ठीक है. So agricultural festivals. Teas is a religious festival. ठीक है. So agricultural festivals like Savan, Karma, Kajri, and rituals like Heat Bharni are linked to monsoon. ठीक है. 2 points are sufficient. Second, literature and music. ठीक है. So folk dances, folk music like Kajri, Sohar symbolizes life-giving rains. If you have the example you gave, otherwise write this example. Varas Jait Pani song. ठीक है. So literature and music. What next? Yes, festivals and fairs. Example these. JP Mela. Okay, suppose if you don't have the example, just briefly provide the elaboration of it. It's absolutely fine to not have the example because this theme was very random. Because if you don't have the example, you give the elaboration brief. Okay. So then within culture you have the language or dialect, local dialect. Okay. So Purvaya is used to describe any type of unwelcome change. Okay. Then fifth, religion or religious practices. Example, Nag Panchami, celebrating fertility. Then sixth, architecture. Right. Example, houses adopted to maximize airflow. Okay. That's it. So these are the factors within your culture. It's literature, festivals, fairs, dialect, religion, architecture, agriculture. Right. If you have the points uh, related to the dance, okay, the folk dance which are done during the monsoons, because that also you can add, right? Then conclude. Okay. Thus, monsoon is lifeline of India. Okay. It is not just climatic event, but a symbol of change, prosperity, and cultural identity. Since ages. Okay. So on this lines, you have to prepare your answer. Is it clear? Any doubts? Okay. It was comparatively easier, even if you have the framework. If you don't have the examples, that's also fine. Okay, just prepare. So now if you see the introduction is static. Okay, the map is static. Okay. So the question is why it is called as Purvaya in or easterly in Bhojpur region. So geographical reason you already know. So these 2 points are static, right? Then only thing is this linguistic factor. And if you have the basic idea of the Hindi, you will know that Purva means east, Daya means direction. So you third point is prepared. Great. And within cultural, your factors are agriculture, literature and music, dance, festivals, religious practices, the dialect. Now, based upon that, you can simply elaborate, or if you have the examples, you give the examples. Okay. Then next, identify and discuss the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. Assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in rainforest regions of India. Okay. So what will be the introduction? As how can we introduce this answer? What is our framework for introduction of the answer? Definition of the natural vegetation. So what is the definition of natural vegetation? Okay, defining natural vegetation. Okay. So natural vegetation is plant community that has grown without human aid and has remained undisturbed for people. So whatever standard book for the environment you refer, be it Shankar or be it PMFIS, okay, in all those you will get this definition of natural vegetation, right? So natural vegetation basically means vegetation developed naturally. Okay. Or second, you can so this second data-based introduction. Normally we give in the biodiversity related questions in environment, but it was asked in GS1. So India is one of the well mega biodiversity countries with 6% of world's flowering plant ranks 10th in world and 4th in Asia. So basically, this is the database introduction. We use it in the biodiversity related questions in uh, environment. Okay, but this. So this is the definition database introduction. Now you draw the map. Okay, spread this better maps, and then we'll see show the vegetation. So till this, you have this part. It is then this is your question part. This is your evergreen. Correct. Then this have the you will be having this much of the dry. Tropical dry forest plus spot in the center. Okay. And rest is your deciduous forest. Okay. You do the rest. This is also your. Okay. You give the headings. Evergreen forest, deciduous, mention tropical, tropical dry, mountain forest. Okay. And last, you can also show the mangrove forest somewhere around here. If you want, you can show the mangrove forest as well. But at least this much should be there into the map. Yep. So, okay. I expect all of you to draw a better map than this. Very bad in maths. Okay. So then, identify and discuss factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. Factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation. So, what are the factors that we discussed? Yes, mm, yes, yes. Andaman Nicobar also you can show. Climate, wind pattern, sunlight, rainfall, good. Topography, geography, very good. Latitude, precipitation, good. So all these factors. So you simply try to classify it under the broader heading. Your first climatic factors. Okay. So what are the major climatic factors? Hmm, first, temperature. Okay. So in temperature, Himalayas support alpine forest, while Western Ghats and Central India has tropical vegetation. Right? You simply mention The types of the plants. So Arctic. Alpine का भी you can mention. ठीक है. Then or rainfall. Here also you can divide it into two or three this parts. ठीक है. Tropical rainforest. of Kerala. Here along the Western Ghats. ठीक है. Then on forest and Rajasthan. So as we are talking about rainfall, so this is more than 2000 mm of rainfall, and this less than 200 mm of rainfall. Right. And the third factor is humidity. Right. So coastal regions with high humidity support mangroves. Example, Sundarban. ठीक है. While central India has dry deciduous. Okay, so these are your climatic factors. Then you come to the topographic factors. Second, topography and soil types. Okay, topography. One within topography, you have altitude. Okay, so here in altitude, Himalayas, vegetation transitions from subtropical forest. Example, Deodar, sheep pine, etc. To alpine at higher altitude. Okay, here, if you know all the four levels in the Himalayas, you can use the diagrammatic representation also with respect to the tropics. Okay, then, second, soil type. Okay, here, with respect to the soil, we have three or four. When you have three or four types of the soil, simply use the flow chart. Okay, alluvial soil, conglomerates, this support dense deciduous forests. Okay. Second, black soil in Deccan. It supports only scrub vegetation. Third type is your laterite soils. So it is in Western Ghats and Chota Nagpur Plateau. And it supports tropical evergreen forests. Example, Mahadeva. Okay. Then what else? So we have covered topography and soil. We have covered climatic factors. What else? Hmm. Monsoon is also there. Yes. Altitude we have covered. What else can we give? Go through the factors that I have given. Solar. So rather than solar, what we can uh, ठीक है. Latitude, and we can also talk about latitude and sunlight. Okay. So this tropical regions like Kerala receive high sunlight, resulting into tropical evergreen forest or vegetation. Okay. This is your example. What else? Monsoon and seasonal variability. Right? What is the example of this? Hmm. Hmm. Example, evergreen, sorry, uh, forest or deciduous forests in, in central India, and grasslands and rain shadow area of Deccan. Right? What else? Hmm. So while discussing the factors, I have asked you to, yes, you can also write to the monsoon in the rainfall pattern also. Yes, very good. Isha has given a good point. So while highlighting the factors, first thing I told you to see whether you can classify it under natural and anthropogenic. Right. So here the first anthropogenic state is like agriculture, urbanization, deforestation, etc. significantly alter natural vegetation. ठीक है. Example, spreading of invasive species. ठीक है. Is it clear? This is how you have to classify the points. Then now they have asked you to, what is the second demand of the question? Various landforms. Landforms तो नहीं है. We have covered the characteristics of landforms itself. Right? We have covered mm, the altitude with respect to the landforms. Then the soil type already we have covered. The second thing is, if you read the directive, assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in rainforest areas or rainforest regions of India. Okay? So they haven't asked you the significance of all wildlife sanctuaries or overall wildlife sanctuaries. Okay? No, they are impacting it now. No? So they are not impacting the formation. If you see the point that we have written, anthropogenic activities alter natural vegetation, whereas the other factors form the natural vegetation. Okay? Yes. So assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in rainforest areas or rainforest regions. So in rainforest, only the examples of the wildlife sanctuaries from rainforest areas you have to give. You can't give example of any wildlife sanctuary. Okay? That and second, as they have asked you to assess, you have to highlight significance and you have to highlight challenges. ठीक है, बट सिग्निफिकेंस के पॉइंट्स थोड़े से ज्यादा रहे rather than challenges. Yes, Western Ghat and Northeast only. Okay. So significance of mm, yes, mm, significance of wildlife sanctuaries and rainforest regions. Okay. So how will you highlight the significance? Yes. How will we generate the points? Mm, while highlighting the significance. Mm, yes. The question is the significance. Yes. Mm. Okay, tell me the points only. Okay. Mm. So in such cases, species, fauna, fauna, natural human related significance, critically endangered species, preservation, economic, environmental, biodiversity, human settlement. Yes. Yes. So you follow the stakeholder approach, right? First, preservation of biodiversity. Mhm. And under it, you simply provide the examples. Okay. So examples, centuries like this Silent Valley National Park, Kerala, preservation of ठीक है सेकंड नाम दफा जो भी आपने प्रीलिम्स में पढ़ा है वो सब लिख दो National Park, Arunachal Pradesh, ठीक है, endemic species like if you can draw the map of the this wildlife sanctuaries, ठीक है, you can add those also. What else? So this is with respect to, or you can also rate the this the Periyar Tiger Reserve, protects endangered tigers. ठीक है. So this is with respect to the preservation of biodiversity. Second, the significance is with respect to the climate regulation. Okay, because they haven't asked you the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in preserving the vegetation or preserving the biodiversity. They have asked you overall significance. Overall significance with respect to climate regulation. Example, the rainforests in wildlife sanctuaries acts as major carbon sinks. And this helps achieving India's INDC target. What is India's INDC target with respect to the carbon sink from forest? Yes. How much India want to 2.5 billion. I think it's done. Okay. This is with respect to the significance. We have talked about preservation of biodiversity, climate regulation. Okay. What else? What else can be the significance? Yes. Hmm. You have to give the overall significance of it. Yes. Economic significance also you can give. Yes. Ecotourism. So economic significance. One, ecotourism promotion. Second, preserving tribal livelihood. Right? What else? Hmm. What else? Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Promotion of scientific research and education on traditional medicine, etc. ठीक है. So you have economic significance, climate regulation, preservation of biodiversity, What else? What else? Mitigation of natural disasters, rainforest, mitigation of natural disasters कैसे? ठीक है, you can also talk, yes, natural disasters you can talk. ठीक है, reducing the uh, as the vegetation help holds soil together, it reduces the risk of landslides and soil erosion. Yes, right. So this so reduces or climate resilience. As the natural vegetation holds soil together, it reduces the risk of disasters like landslides. ठीक है, this you simply give the Madhav Gadgil committee on Western Ghats. ठीक है, then fifth, water conservation through groundwater recharge. ठीक है, and one, reproduction, food chain balance, ecosystem services. Ecosystem services also can mention. Right? And fourth or the sixth, one more aspect that we mention is the cultural significance. Yeah, cultural significance, you can simply mention example, sacred rules. And you know that. Your people, your rest. Yeah. Yes, sacred grows, very good point. This is the significance. Then we briefly highlight the challenges. Okay, this much we have given for the significance is more than sufficient. Then briefly challenges, as we don't have the diagram, as we don't have the space, we will use the diagrammatic representation. Okay. So deforestation, second, this poaching and wildlife trade. Okay. Example, rhinos in Manas National Park. Right. Third, shifting cultivation. Okay. Fourth, developmental activities. Example, dams in Arunachal Pradesh. Right. Then the mining and industrial activities in fragile Western Ghats. ठीक है? And another, climate change. ठीक है? Then So sea level rise impact marine ecosystem. And you give the one of the example of marine national parks. You know, Mahatma Gandhi Marine National Parks. That's it. And then you provide a brief way forward and a conclusion. Okay. So conclusion, thus uh, coordinated and effective measures are needed to preserve India's natural diversity and to achieve SDG 1350. Or you can link it to the India's INDC targets as well. Okay. Is it clear? Yes. Any doubts? डायग्राम थोड़ा ज्यादा ही छोटा हो गया. Any doubts up till now? Yes, Panchamrit targets also. Okay. Okay. Then the next are also same. Troposphere is a very significant atmospheric layer that determines weather processes how. Okay, so it is a 15 marker question. Okay, and here if you see there is only one directive. That means what we have to do. Okay, first we will give the troposphere definition. Okay, then we will give the characteristics. Yes, after introduction, I said if possible give the classification. But here the classification is also not possible. So in that case, you give the characteristics of troposphere. Then you come to the main demand. You will see how to write such process. Okay. So with respect to what is the definition of the troposphere? Can we give the classification based? The troposphere is the lowest layer of Earth's atmosphere in which plays fundamental role in determining weather processes. Okay. Then you draw the diagram with respect to the troposphere. See here you have, okay, so on one side you have height and here you have temperature. Okay. So this is about, so this is between 20 to 30, 20, 0, minus 20, minus 40, that means. So your temperature is between 20 to 30. Okay. Then this is the troposphere. So in troposphere, temperature decreases in the beginning. So it goes up to this. So this is 60, minus 80. Okay, then you have the topopods where there is a constant. Then in stratosphere it increases a bit. Okay. And then you have a this again stratopods. Then you have the thermosphere pods. Last one is okay. So till this is your troposphere. This is topopods. Till this your stratosphere. Okay. This is stratopods. This is mesosphere. Okay. Last is you draw this diagram and then characteristics. Right? So what are the characteristics of the troposphere? Zero lowest layer. Yes. Yes, diagram will be there. Okay. So you highlight the characteristics first. Lowest level of atmosphere. Okay. So extending from 8 to 18 kilometers approximately, which is higher at equator and lower at poles. Okay. Second characteristics it's decrease in temperature with altitude. Right, and that decrease is 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Okay. The third characteristics it contains bulk of atmospheric mass. So 75 to 80%, which includes water vapor, aerosols, and gases essential for life. Okay. Fourth, dynamic layer with solid surface turbulence. Right, unlike the above level, okay, it is characterized by due to from mixing, sorry, due to from vertical mixing, due to heating from hot surface and interaction with correlates. These many are fine. The four characteristics. Then we will come to the cooling hour. Okay, how? Yes, normal lapse rate, most turbulent one also, yes, you can mention temperature decreases, density decreases, convectional current, very good. Okay. Then we will come to the coding. See, again, if classification is not possible, provide the characteristics. That is also fine. And that determines weather processes. So how, question is, how troposphere determines weather processes. Its impact of troposphere on weather processes. Okay. So here, this is the one theme and this is second theme. What are the different weather processes? The simple different processes are the rainfall, the wind, the ocean currents, right, the pressure gradient, the temperature. Okay. Then you have the different climatological weather processes like the cyclones, anticyclones, right? What else? Hmm. What else are the weather processes? That the you have the jet streams, right? And then you have the local weather processes like the local winds, right? This, so you make them as your subheadings and you explain how that happens. That's it. Okay, there's a first rainfall. Okay, so there's a troposphere holds almost all of the water vapor and making it primary zone for cloud formation and precipitation. Right? Thus, okay. So then, second, this is with respect to the rainfall. Second, temperature and pressure. Right? This, the vertical and horizontal pressure gradient within troposphere influence ocean currents and wind patterns. Right? Example, you give any of the wind pattern की जैसे westerlies. ठीक है. What else? Hmm, you can talk about. Hmm, what else you can talk about? All the weather patterns you can name. Hmm, El Nino, La Nina. You can mention monsoon and glaciers. You can mention support major life forms that you can't mention. ठीक है. Temperature variation, jet streams, good. So jet streams, ठीक है. You give the example, subtropical jet stream. What is the height of the jet stream? I think it's 10 or 11 kilometer, right? At what height jet streams? Oh, yes, 10 to 11. At height of 10 to 11 km within troposphere. ठीक है. Impact onset and withdrawal of monsoon. Right. Then you mentioned cyclone and anticyclone. Right. So with respect to the cyclones and anticyclones, the pressure gradient or the low pressure and high pressure systems in troposphere determines weather extremes like storms and floods. Example, you give the name of any of the recent cyclone, right? Then just local weather patterns. Yeah. Example, orographic rainfall in mountain regions. Yes. Second example of the same is the local winds like Sirocco, or you can give any of the type of the local winds. Okay. Due to pressure influences. Okay. Then the other weather system are the weather fronts, the interaction of warm and cool air masses within troposphere, leading to weather fronts. Okay. Then you have the temperature inversion. Now, where warm air traps cooler air below, leading to fog formation. Example, Delhi in winters. Right. What else? What other weather phenomena can you explain? Hurricane and typhoon, yes, that also you can mention. Okay. So cyclones and anticyclones, hurricanes and typhoon are nothing but cyclones. Right. The disaster frequency also, okay, you can mention disasters. Coriolis force is because of the movement of this Earth. Right? El Nino, La Nina, yes, because of the changes in the pressure belts. Heat, El Nino, La Nina, ठीक है, due to changes in pressure systems and specific We should. Okay, cyclones and anticyclones we have already. Basically, you have to mention all the weather phenomena that are there, and you simply have to link it to the troposphere because anyway, all the weather phenomena happens into the troposphere itself, right? That's it. Okay, here the only thing you have to make sure if wherever possible, try to draw the diagrams or try to draw the maps. Okay, जैसे with respect to the cyclone, you could have used the diagram. Okay, with respect to the temperature inversion, you could have used the diagram. With respect to El Nino, La Nina, you could have used the diagram. Okay. Mm, wind system also we can mention. We have already mentioned it, but still we will mention it again. Okay. So wind systems. Mm, including local winds like okay, land and sea breeze are formed due to temperature and pressure variations in atmosphere. You simply add the diagram. This is your Earth equator. Will be okay. You simply add the diagram of the wind system. So here from थोड़ा सा बड़ा करेंगे. This is your equator. Okay. Here you have the trade winds. Then you have the westerlies. You have the polar easterlies. This is your subtropical high pressure belt. You seen on this. This wind system diagram you can add. This is again your high pressure belt. This is your westerlies, subtropical high pressure belt. And again from polar, these are your polar easterlies. Okay. And this is your subpolar low pressure. Okay. You can add this diagram just to fill the pages. And that's it. Beyond this, you can go. Okay. Is it clear? Yes, trapping of Earth, long wave radiation, warming of Earth. That also you can mention. Yes. Cells types also you can mention it here in diagram. Okay. This, if you want, that point also you can add. Okay. Trapping of long wave solar radiation and maintaining heat balance of the earth. ठीक है? Yes, that's it. And then you provide the conclusion. So in conclusion, you can use the utility aspect where you can say, ठीक है, कि thus understanding of dynamics of atmosphere is essential in understanding or essential in understanding of global phenomena like wind and pressure system, as well as localized events like fog and dust. ठीक है? This is the utility or the significance approach. Is it clear? The temperature inversion is different from the trapping of the solar radiation. So trapping of the solar radiation is basically with respect to the heat balance of the earth. ठीक है? That. So in this way, you can prepare the answer and you can add few more diagrams. ठीक है? Is it understood? Any doubts? Sorry, layers to use. Yes. Okay. Any doubts? No. Hmm? Is it clear? So always remember key the simple theme is whenever you have two themes or whenever you have to establish the interlinking between two themes. Okay, the dimensions of one theme you make as subheading and you establish the relationship with the other theme in the explanation. So here weather process was one theme and troposphere was one theme. So all the weather processes or the dimensions of the weather processes, rainfall, temperature, wind, ठीक है, pressure, all those we made as subheading, right? So it's a simple way of structuring your answer. ठीक है? Okay. So if George is from geomorphology, that we'll do tomorrow. So this is your assignment question. The impact of ocean currents and water masses on marine life and coastal environment. ठीक है? This is your assignment answer. Here you have two concepts. So in introduction, there will be the two definitions. Okay, then there will be the global map on the ocean currents and the water masses. Okay, then there will be two tables because they are asking the difference. Okay, so there will be two tables. One, difference in their impact on marine life, and second, difference in their impact on coastal environment. ठीक है, this. And afterwards, briefly highlight the similar role played by them if there is any. And that should be the structure of it. In conclusion, again, use the as it is related to the this water. You can use it to the SDG. You can use SDG 16. Okay, in your conclusion. Okay, okay, guys. So tomorrow we'll do the questions on geomorphology, and then we'll shift to economic geography. Is it clear? So basically, what you have to do, you have to understand the process, exactly how that phenomenon works. Okay, for that, prepare a short notes, then the diagrams, and you have to gather examples. Okay? Okay. All the best.